does his Sunday best. Mother's tired, she needs a rest. The kids are playing up downstairs. Sister's sighing in her sleep. Brother's got a date to keep, he can't hang around.
Hey guys, welcome to the Isles House. Today we are doing the history of the Islanders draft to start off draft week. I'm Tyler. You can find me on Twitter at BarsDown. We got Greeny at Ethan Greenberg.
Greenberg 99. Close enough.
E Greenberg 99. And then we got Jack at Islesden. So what's going on, boys? You ready to get into this?
Yes,
Hell
we
yeah.
are. Yes, we are. I'm going to jump right in. So we're going back to the last time the Islanders had the first overall pick. And honestly, I just cannot believe that there's any parallels between that team in 2009, led by Mike Comrie, Chris Campoli, Sean Bergenheim, all of our friends. And now here we are 15 years later, or 16 years later, with the number one overall pick yet again. So as we know,
Be careful with the beeps. Please.
As we know, in 2009, the Islanders had the first overall pick, and with that selection, they took bleep.
You could say it.
Yeah, you could say it.
Just do it once.
I'll bleep it.
Froze there.
Yeah, you have permission.
Yes, so they selected Tavares with the first overall pick. As we all know, he went on to play over 1,100 games so far in the NHL. After Tavares, they took Calvin DeHaan with the 12th overall pick. They took two goaltenders following that in the second and third round, Mikko Koskinen, Anders Nilsson. And then even in the later rounds, fourth round pick, Casey Cizikas, and sixth round pick, Anders Lee, all played over 150 games in the NHL. Obviously, Anders Lee is the captain of the current team. Casey Cizikas is still on the team. He's actually the longest tenured player. And the way I look at drafts now, after speaking with so many over the last few months about having the first overall pick, if you have one successful NHLer in a draft class, that usually means like, okay, you did fine. If you have 2, 3, 4, you did really well. This draft as a whole is actually a complete slam dunk. And I know we don't remember Koskinen and Nilsson so well.
Well, I remember Nilsson, but I don't remember Koskinen at all. Did he even play?
Yes.
Play?
So the only time I remember Mikko Koskinen was in the fight night game against Pittsburgh. I believe he was the goalie for the Islanders.
Okay.
Did he start that game?
I think he did, but like they won. It was like 9-3, so it didn't even matter. But I just remember for some reason.
Do you remember if he was the backup or the third string?
I think he was the backup because it was the time where, like, they had guys like Kevin Poulin who always got hurt, or like there was Jan Denis. Obviously, DiPietro was always injured.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the Dwayne Rollison.
Well, the
era
reason
as
that
well.
the reason that fight night even happened was because DiPietro got knocked out, right?
You're right.
He had a concussion. Yeah.
Well, I think the theme of this, as we'll get into it, is that Garth Snow excelled at finding guys later in the draft than earlier. I agree with Jack. I think this was arguably their best draft they've had, probably since like I don't even know. This might have been their best draft since like the early 2000s.
Great memory.
Probably better than that though, right? Because
like honestly, when you look back at it, all of the quality players that they have, or all the quality players that actually became NHL guys that you didn't think would become NHL guys. I don't think anyone thought Casey Cizikas would be anything, or
Anders Lee.
Yeah, like
I was a quarterback.
Exactly. And you know, I don't think you can really complain about any misses. I mean, they could have selected Ryan O'Reilly, who was 2 picks after Mikko Koskinen. But like, I always feel bad looking back at this because it's like everyone missed them. It wasn't just the Islanders.
Yeah.
You know, so
I got to step in. I got to step in with just a quick trivia question. So you were correct. Great memory with Koskinen starting in that game in 2011. You actually named Montoya, Rollison, DiPietro, and Koskinen. They all played that season. Also Poulin. But who was the other? There's one more goalie that played that season. He played 10 games.
Was it Jan Denis?
It wasn't. That was a little bit earlier.
What did it start with? What's the letter?
N. N first name, L first
Oh,
letter of
I got
last
it.
name.
Nathan Lawson.
That's it. That's
Nathan
it.
Ah,
So
Lawson.
I don't even
Nathan
remember that.
Lawson was your answer on that one. But
Was
yeah,
he? I think he was like number 52.
yeah, he was. Yeah, I
Oh,
remember that guy
what
for some
what year
reason.
was that?
2010-11. There was
Because
DiPietro played 26, Rolison 20,
I
Poulin 10, Lawson 10, Koskinen 4.
I remember being at the rinks in Hop Hog, and it was a middle school game that I was preparing for, and everyone was just outside. I don't know if you've ever been to that rink, but there's like TVs where the lunch area is, and just there was like 30 people. The other team was watching it, all the parents. Just fights the entire time.
One
It
to
was
remember.
it was completely ridiculous.
Yeah,
Um,
that's awesome. I love that.
but I actually just looking at the 2009 draft as a whole, there were a lot of NHL players that were late picks, like in addition to Anders Lee and Cizikas. I don't really think the Islanders missed out on too many of them. I don't think you can complain. I guess the two surprising picks were taking the two goalies back to back, but as Jack alluded to, they started six goalies that season, so I guess they thought they needed some insurance. Um, I think the only miss you could say would be Ryan O'Reilly and Tyson Barrie, who went two picks after they took Anders Nilsson. But besides that, I don't think you can complain. I think this draft is as close to an A plus as you can get.
Well, if you could
Agreed.
go back in time, would you take Hedman over, the guy we took first?
I was going to ask that. I was going to ask that question. I, I don't think so. I think the answer is no. It's easy to say now, but if you
Mhm.
remember back then what this team needed, like they from a business perspective, like they actually needed a star forward. They were so dead.
Yeah.
And like as much as we do hate him, he's top 10 in a lot of statistics in franchise history. Unfortunately for him, he probably won't ever be honored, but yeah, it was definitely the right pick.
Do you agree, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, what you just said, I agree. Because, I mean, think about it. If he wasn't on that team, who would have been our best forward for those years? Oposo?
Yeah, or
Yeah,
Josh Bailey.
Yeah, or
yeah,
Bailey. But Bailey wasn't that good until a little
he
later,
wasn't.
I would say.
He was
So,
a late bloomer.
like, his last season with the team is when uh, I don't want to say his name because I don't want to. But the guy who I can't name, his last season with the team is when Josh Bailey got what 71 points that year.
Correct.
He
Yeah.
really started popping around then. So
Well, do you guys know who was their leading scorer in the 2008-2009 season?
I'm gonna guess Mark Streit.
You would guess
2008, 2009. It was
uh,
straight.
it was Mark Streit, a
Okay.
defenseman. I think he had like 55 points or whatever. So that was the justification for taking the forward.
Hmm.
And also, Victor Hedman, looking at his stats, he didn't really pop off until 13-14, which
Yeah.
was his fifth year in the league at that time. And who knows what would have happened if he started playing on those dog shit Islander teams. Like,
Yeah, it's true.
ah,
Who would his partner have even been?
it,
Like that
it,
team
it
was
probably would
so
have been
bad.
Mark Streit.
Two lefties.
Yeah.
When
I
did
mean,
Mark Strake get traded?
He
I
didn't
want to
get traded.
say
We let his contract run out after we made the playoffs in 2013.
Okay, and he's a free agent.
Signed with Philly, I want to say.
Yep,
Yeah.
that was
Okay.
after the lockout shortened year.
Yep. Yeah, so I give this an A plus. Anyone object?
I definitely don't object. Cizikas and Anders Lee still being on the team 15, 16 years later when being the 92nd and 152nd player taken.
Yeah, it's
That's
pretty insane.
that's about as much of a home run as you can hit for
I
as
would
bad
say
as Garth was.
it's an A plus, but with hindsight, maybe like an A minus. If
Yeah.
we're being
Yeah,
fair, I guess.
that
But
that makes sense.
Well,
yeah.
it all goes downhill from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we can move along to 2010.
Yep. So 2010, they had one fewer pick than they did the year before. They were picking fifth overall. Another bad, obviously bad regular season. Nino Niederreiter was the pick. He went fifth, but they also did get Brock Nelson, the last pick of the first round. And unfortunately, those two were the only two players to ever play in the NHL. The other four that the Islanders selected never made it. I know Kirill Kabanov, who was their next pick in the third round. If you guys remember, the fans were like going crazy over this Russian that could score goals, and then he just never came over here, uh, which has been a theme.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Sounds familiar.
Yeah, but this draft was not very good because there was nothing after round one. Literally, not a single NHL player after round one.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is pretty nuts.
And I'm trying to remember. So that draft itself, that was the Taylor Hall, Tyler Sagan draft,
Yeah. Hmm.
and wasn't like a crazy deep one. Looking in the second round. Now, the Islanders didn't have a second round pick. I believe Garth traded that to get back into the first to take Brock with the 30th pick. There was Tyler Toffoli in the second round, Justin Falk, but not really any crazy difference makers. And then the rest of the
Yeah.
draft is super disappointing. Like Radko Gudas is like the highlight from the third round. You have Brian Rust, and I mean, like, it's just not. Zach Hyman actually is the steal, but he was taken by Florida in the sixth round, and then obviously didn't go to
Wow.
Florida.
Yeah,
Um,
wow, I didn't know that. Sixth round.
yeah, I'm actually sorry, the
That's
fifth
a hit
round.
for sure.
Fifth round. He
Still,
was the
that's a hit.
100, yeah, 123rd pick. But this was a very light draft. So I don't really
Hmm.
know if you can be super critical because the guys that they missed in the late rounds are all kind of bottom forwards. Besides also Mark Stone, should throw him in there. That was a sixth round pick.
I mean, if
Um,
you could go back, would you take? I'd probably take Skinner over Niederreiter though.
it
Yeah,
was it
given
was
given the hindsight, yeah.
Hmm. Because
but
Niederreiter, he really what middle six guy at his peak.
yeah, middle
Yeah,
six guy at his peak, 480 points in almost 1,000 games.
Hmm.
He was projected to be a top of the line guy, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
the Islanders, we do have to address the Islanders did kind of screw him by putting him in the NHL immediately, but then
yeah.
putting him on the fourth line. He was playing with like John Sim on the fourth line for a few games, and it was
Yeah.
like no wonder he couldn't score. So
Hmm.
so I think that had something to do with it. But yeah, I think I would have taken Skinner. Cam Fowler was always interesting to me. He went 12th to Anaheim. Like because they didn't take Hedman the year before, if you wanted to go defenseman, but I can't
The
really
thing
complain.
is, when you look at the way they handled these players versus like the draft, like Niederreiter isn't a terrible pick, but the way they handled it was terrible.
Yeah,
So it's hard
exactly.
to remember it like as a good draft, but him playing over almost 1,000 games, he's going to hit that mark next year. That's not a bad pick. It's
And
funny
then
though
Brock
because
Nelson, yeah.
everybody would take Brock over Nino, but
Hmm.
obviously the not the scouts back then. Um, Given Brock's production on the Islanders all those years, like I actually am going to give this draft a B plus. I think he really saved himself with that pick. Um, and Niederreiter, I can't count it as a bad pick. It's just the development that followed was poor.
I don't know if I can give it a B plus. I think this is like score just because of Brock. I think you can give it like a C.
Yeah, but like
But
the draft wasn't good as a whole.
the
So
draft wasn't good as a whole. But like you have six draft picks, and two of the six are the like I should
yeah, I
rephrase it.
see what you're
Four of the
saying.
six don't even make it to the NHL.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Not good.
I mean, you'll see with the next draft. There's a bunch of guys that made it to the NHL but didn't last.
I
Like
mean,
I
a lot of the later round picks don't make it though. So like,
sure. I mean, in a weird way, Garth was better with the later round picks than the top picks. I feel
yeah,
like because he had a lot of those
I
high
could see
draft
that.
picks. But I don't know. I give it a C. Jack, you're gonna be the optimist. Tyler, are you closer to Jack?
I'd say I'm closer to Jack, honestly, just because when I'm looking at that draft, I don't think it's really a crazy draft. Like we
He
missed
saved
that
himself with
much.
that trade to get
Sure.
Yeah.
Brock.
Well, if you're watching or listening to this, leave a comment. I want to see all the rankings because I want to see how far off we all are. So if you're on YouTube, leave a comment. If you're listening, tweet at us. Give us your thoughts. Um, but yeah, we'll move on. 2011, Jack, you told us before you like don't remember these couple of drafts.
No, I got my years mixed up. I actually do remember this one very well. Um, this was the Ryan Strome draft. It was like, didn't you guys feel really similar after this than you did that you did during the Niederreiter pick? Like just
Yeah.
good player.
Good
Yeah, I was
player,
young, but yeah.
but like not superstar.
Yeah.
This is the draft, or one of the drafts in hindsight. I think they really fucked up. If you look at who went right behind him.
I'm gonna need to
Um,
know that. Who
Yeah,
we
who
got?
did?
so Mika Zibanejad went 6 to Ottawa. Mark Scheifele then went 7 to Winnipeg.
Oof.
Uh, you had Sean Couturier go to Philly at 8. Dougie Hamilton went to Boston at 9.
Jeez, yeah.
Jonas Brodin went 10 to Minnesota. I mean, and there's more.
I think you would take all those guys over Strom, right?
A
If you would
hundred
Yeah.
percent.
redraft. Yeah,
A hundred
easily.
Even
percent.
even JT Miller. JT Miller went 15 to the Rangers.
Wow, that's a
Like,
steal.
yeah, I'm actually shocked at this draft. And the final pick of the first round was Rickard Rakell to Anaheim. So
That's insane. What a first round.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys here that I would take. Before Strome was Adam Larson to the Devils. And then before them, the top three was Huberto, Landeskog, and Ryan Nugent Hopkins. So I mean,
Wow.
you had good players. This was a very
Hmm.
good draft, but I think Strome was a miss. Even though he was turning into a good player those last couple years before, there were better guys available.
Hugh's another career middle six guy. Not really what you want to get from the top five of a draft, but it could have been worse for sure. But not
Not
the
great.
best. Yeah, not great at all.
So the rest of that draft is we have Scott Mayfield in the second round, and then the rest of the draft
Which
are
is good.
six selections that combined for 53 NHL games.
Cool.
So rest of the draft complete wash, but taking Mayfield in the second round, he has played 535 NHL games. I'm surprised that number feels kind of low. Um, I actually remember, I think he debuted in a playoff game. Anyway, he's still on the team also. Like that is another like draft saving later pick by Garth Snow, I think, for this one. I'm actually going to give it a B minus. It would be higher because I really like Mayfield, but given the misses that you guys identified, I can't give higher than a B minus for this one.
Well,
Yeah.
do you want to hear the misses in the second round? Because
Go for it.
this is
Yeah,
actually
let's
what I
hear
wanted
it.
to bring up. So I love Scott Mayfield, but there are two names specifically. William Karlsson went at 53 to Anaheim, but the bigger one is Nikita Kucherov, who went
Yeah.
58 to Tampa.
It's crazy
Um,
everyone besides Tampa just passed on Nikita.
yeah,
Like
and
if you did a redraft, he's going first overall.
oh, 100%.
100%.
Hands down. So
100%. He is more than a point per game player. He has 994 points in 803 games.
yeah, holy
Unbelievable.
shit. That's
And
insane.
and I guess the third name, a goaltender, John Gibson,
Okay.
he went 39 to Anaheim. So he went 5 picks after the Islanders took Mayfield.
Yeah, you'd take both of them over Mayfield easily. So, I
And
mean,
then, oh my goodness, it gets worse as I scroll. At 63, they took this guy Andre Padan, who only played 13 games. The pick after was Vincent Trocheck.
wow,
Unbelievable. Not good.
not
Not
good.
just too many misses in this draft by old Snow.
Yeah, he didn't have that late round magic going for him. Although there's one kind of funny coincidence. So JG Pageau was taken in this draft. He was taken in the fourth round, 96th overall, one pick after the Islanders took
Oof.
Robbie Russo, a guy
Ugh.
that played 19 games in the NHL. So I guess we could have had Pageau his entire career.
We could have
Yeah,
feasted in this draft, man.
yeah.
Tough one.
Yeah, so what did you give this one, Jack?
I gave it a B minus. I
Are
think
you
I'm
going
gonna
to
move it.
amend?
I think I'm gonna move it to a C plus. There's just too many good players, and
Yeah.
the rest of the guys after Mayfield are just not good enough. And although I love Mayfield, he is a good third pairing defenseman. So you
Mhm.
came out of this draft with Ryan Strome and a middle sixer and a third pairing defenseman, and these guys were we were a terrible team. Like we needed
Yeah.
more than that. So yeah, I'll
Not
give it a C
bad,
plus.
like not super bad, but not good enough is really what it
Yeah,
comes down to.
agreed.
So I would give it a C personally.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe
Probably,
even a C minus.
I was gonna say probably C minus makes a lot of sense because that's not nearly as bad as what I think the worst draft that Garth had, which was the following year. Um, so before we go into that draft, like if we're talking about the context of the team now, so that was the 2011 draft. Then the 2011-2012 season happens, and there's almost like no progress. So now if we started from 2009, we're sitting here in 2011, and the team is basically just as devoid of talent as it was before. I mean, do we all feel that way? The NHL team?
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
they're bad.
Yeah, it was bad, and the results spoke for themselves because the Islanders were then picking fourth overall the next year.
And what was
Mhm.
supposed to be a good season for them.
Yep. And this was the infamous Griffin Reinhart draft, four overall. Um, this was a bad draft. The first pick was Neil Yakupov, who's a gigantic bust. Ryan Murray and Alex Galchenyuk went 2-3, who did not last long in the NHL. Then Griffin Reinhart. Of course, the pick after Griffin Reinhart was Morgan Riley from Toronto. Um, Hampus Lindholm also was taken sixth. And it's crazy just looking at this list. All of the guys that are still in the NHL went after the top four. Um,
Unbelievable.
yeah, like that's actually crazy. So
Yeah, that is.
I mean, the first round you had Tom Wilson who went late. You had Brady Shea going late. Jacob Trouba who went 9. Like you have NHL guys, Teuvo Teravainen. Oh, here's the big one. Andrei Vasilevsky
Yeah.
Went to the Lightning at 19.
And we
Wow.
needed a goalie at that time
Yeah.
badly.
Um, because I believe they were going to buy out DiPietro. It was the year after this. I think they bought him out in 13.
This was the offseason they signed or waiver claimed Evgeny Nabokov.
Okay. Yeah, so they could have
Yeah, wow.
used him.
And Vasilevsky, probably the best player from this draft.
Yeah, I,
Yeah.
I would definitely say so because in later rounds there was really
Well, you have to go through it. We got one guy out of this draft.
Adam Pelech.
We got Adam Pelech out of this
True.
draft somehow.
What round did he go in? Was he third?
That was third.
Third.
Yeah, okay.
Like again, Garth
It's a great pick.
Garth would find these guys in the second, third, or fourth rounds, but then he'd have a top 10 pick and he would basically
Mhm.
fuck it up.
Yep.
Um,
Well,
but
he did make up for the Reinhardt pick for sure.
oh, with the heist. Yeah.
Yeah,
So what grades are we giving this draft? I think we're going to disagree really heavily on this.
really. I mean, the
Yeah.
only guy we got was Adam Pelech, and then we traded for Barzy with Sam Reinhart.
So the last draft we did, I graded it as I gave a C plus for Mayfield, who's a third pairing D man, and for
Mhm.
Strome, who was a middle sixer. For Nelson, I gave a B plus to that one with Niederreiter. And the way I look at these drafts is like one successful NHLer, you did okay. But we had a top 4 pick in this draft, and we actually got a first pairing defenseman that ended up being a really important piece to a couple conference finals runs. And I
Yeah.
know we didn't do it the right way, but we did it somehow. I actually am going to give this one a B.
Wow.
That's
Adam
crazy.
Pelech's too good.
Yeah, I'm
Adam
not doing that.
If you told me that we're getting an Adam Pelech out of this draft, that
Yeah, but
it's just he was too good of a player for me to just like for
But
me
he
to
was-
not
He
appreciate
was,
the pick.
he was only
Pelech-
good for a couple of years.
yeah, like 4 or 5 years max that he was like at his peak, maybe even 3, you would say. I mean,
His
that
peak
19 season, 20 and 21.
His peak though, like this guy was an all-star as a defensive defenseman. Like
He
that is
was
hard.
so good.
That's a tough thing to accomplish. I
I
mean, look at
mean,
all the Norris winners. They never respect those guys. Like he
yeah, and
got that level.
those conference runs, like, oh my God, just again, if any other team was coming around the boards, Pellick's just there, gets the puck, strips it, shoots it out. It was
Yeah, he's
insane how good he
unbelievable.
was. Like watching him, I remember when I was watching him, it was almost as fun and entertaining to watch as it was to watch like Barzy in the ozone dangling around people. Like, oh, I miss that Adam Pellick, man.
The one rebuttal I'll have is if you guys remember when he like first became really good, and everyone was comparing him to Jacob Slavin. Like, oh, it's
Yeah.
Jacob Slavin and
Yeah,
Adam Pellick. They're like the two best defensive defensemen in the game.
I do remember that.
Yeah. And then Jacob Slavin is still now one of the best defensive defensemen in the game, and Adam Pellick, his brain is soup. So it's
Yeah,
Yeah.
like if
unfortunately.
I would actually lean closer to Jack's grade if Adam Pellick was like still that Adam Pellick.
I
And
agree.
and if he had the length in his like prime like Jacob Slavin and he became one of the best defensemen for like a decade, I'd be like, yeah, this is probably like a B. But I mean, this has got to be like a C minus or a D.
Well, Pellick was the only player we got that was an
Yeah.
NHL player, right?
Only player. But
I
I'll
mean,
take that.
okay, I'll make this one a little fun. So if we count the trade for Barzy with hindsight, then I will give this draft a B minus. If we don't count that, I'm giving it a D plus.
Excellent. All right.
Fair
See, so
enough.
I was gonna ask, is it fair to have hindsight? Because we didn't know that we were
Mhm.
gonna be trading Reinhardt. I actually think I do think that's fair. If we're grading it with hindsight, I'll bump up the hindsight grade to a C.
Just
Only
because then
because
it's
yeah,
at
it's a
least
draft
two.
pick for a draft pick,
Yeah,
essentially.
and it's because like you get two. If you look at it with the trade for Barzy, you get two at one point superstar players in Pellick and Barzy. Yeah, the rest missed, but those are two really good players. Where you only got one really good player, and it's five misses. Right? We had six picks that year, so
Um, yes. No,
so yeah.
we had 7 picks actually.
Okay, so we had
Okay.
six misses and then only one hit for really 3 to 4 years. So
Yeah, it was a string of bad drafts, and also in addition to them getting Barzy, that draft pick got them Bo as well because
wait,
when they traded Reinhardt to move up, I think after that they also then traded like a second round pick that they got to move
mhm.
back into the first round to take Beauvillier at like 28.
Who was the GM for Edmonton at the time? Was that
That
Sorelli?
was Peter Chiarelli. Yep, fucking idiot.
There he is. There he is.
Guy just handing us fucking players.
Oh my God. Yeah, shout out to the Bruins for passing on Matt Barzell 3 times in a row.
Yeah, for real.
But
Wow.
we'll get to that. Next season, this is the first draft coming off a playoff appearance. So now we have the lockout shortened year. They lose to Pittsburgh in the first round. They have the 15th pick as a result, and they take Ryan Pulock, 15th overall, who is the only player to play in the NHL until their 6th round pick when they took Alan Quine and then Kyle
Legend.
Burrows, who
Legend.
Kyle Burrows has played 201 games in the NHL. I have no idea for who, because it wasn't for the Islanders. But yeah, let's see, what team did he play for?
Kings,
The Kings,
Canucks,
yeah, there you go, Jack.
Sharks. Wow, he even played this season. Who knew?
I Not a clue.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so I guess in this draft, they really only had, as I just lost my spot, we're on 2013. So I mean,
Bullock and Klein, right?
yeah,
Seven draft picks.
7 draft picks. They hit on,
Two.
I guess, two, maybe 2.5. Are we gonna say Alan Quine's a hit?
I would just because of that overtime winner in Florida.
I guess that's fair. I mean, he was
It's a hit for a
serviceable.
6th round pick, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't even say hit, but just that one moment.
Yeah,
Not
Loved it.
it wasn't a miss. We won't say it's a hit, but it wasn't
Wasn't
a
a
miss.
miss.
yeah.
He was an important part at one point. So even though he wasn't super important, but that overtime winner,
I
won
feel
the series
similar.
because of that.
I feel like this is similar to the last draft where we got Pollock, who's like, once again, we got a top pairing guy. And this was with the 15th overall pick after making the playoffs. Sprinkle Quine into that. I'll actually give this a B also.
I don't know
And
about a B.
Yeah, I don't know about a B, but also this draft wasn't very good. I mean, just
Yeah, you got to keep that in mind too. That is
yeah,
a good point.
like if we're just looking at the first round, I actually think the Islanders took like the best player available at that time. Nikita Zadorov went after him. I'd rather have Polak.
Yeah.
The only other notable guy, there were two other notables. Andrei Burakovsky at 23 to Washington, and then Ryan Hartman went to Chicago with the last pick.
Okay.
I mean,
Then
at Shea Theodore also, but like I'd rather have
that's
Polak to
good.
be honest.
Yeah, that one's a little more debatable, but I would still pick Pulak. Actually, I think Jack's pretty spot on then because the B's
Just
pretty
not much
reasonable.
there.
Yeah, just not much.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of players in the second round that didn't make the NHL is kind of crazy. And the Islanders didn't even have a second round pick. And then in the third round, like you're not missing anybody. Like
Hmm.
the best player was Jake Gensel, who is definitely a miss, but again, he fell all the way to 77. So I have a hard time killing them when every other team passes on a guy. Um,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gensel, that's a hit.
yeah, I mean, like
Wow.
Gensel and Anthony Duclair also went 80 to the Rangers, which you could say is a hit.
That's definitely a hit. I mean, Gensel's next level. He's not even like
Yeah,
Claire's not even close to him, but that's
No.
still decent. So
and then
What
yeah,
are
and then,
your guys' grades on it?
what'd you say it was, Jack? You were in
I
the
gave it
B's.
a I gave it a B.
I think this is a flat C. I think
Fair.
they came away okay for what the draft was. It could have been better. It
mhm.
also could have been worse. So I think it's flat in the middle.
I was gonna say C, but then when you said who we didn't really miss out on, I'm gonna go with B minus. I'll go B minus.
Yeah, I think
Save some of the harsher grades for later. It
no,
gets
but like
uglier.
I honestly think that was the most fair. All of our grades I think was the most fair on that one.
Yeah.
Okay. So now going into the next season, full season again, coming off the playoff appearance, we supposedly have all of this momentum. Their big free agent signings, if I remember, was like Peter Regan and Pierre-Marc Bouchard.
Oh,
Yes.
Um,
Pierre-Marc Bouchard. I remember playing
yeah,
NHL 13 Winter Classic mode. I'd always use Pierre.
his
Always
hands
take him.
were his hands were insane.
Yeah.
Um, yes, so like we were so excited. We had just taken Griffin Reinhart and Ryan Pulock. We're like, our defense is going to be unbelievable. Ryan Strome, I don't think he made his debut that year. But Brock Nelson made his debut that year. I do remember that.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
2013?
In the
2013,
playoffs, he
14.
did.
He started in the playoffs. I think it was game 6.
Okay.
Yeah, he
And
was
then,
in.
Okay.
He was a regular that season, though. You're right.
yep. But anyway, the
We
season
were
ends
terrible.
in disappointment. Yeah, this was the year we had the Stadium Series game, the Olympics when what's his name got hurt. Um,
Whoever that guy is.
yeah, whoever that irrelevant person is,
Oh yeah,
got his
yeah,
knee blown up in Russia,
yeah.
and then we find ourselves picking in the top 5 again.
In level of disappointment, like this was one of the most disappointing seasons I can
Yeah.
remember, just
Yep.
because you
Yep.
thought they were finally out of this rebuild and then they just could not keep a puck out of their net. They traded
Mhm.
Molson for Vanek.
For
This
Vanek,
was
which is
just
really good at the time.
an atrocious season. Knowing the
Mhm.
Coliseum was going away too, like they announced
Yep.
the move to Brooklyn. I think just not fun times to be a fan.
Well, the year after that is when they moved to Brooklyn, right? That was their
2
last year.
years,
So
2
like
years
the
after.
14, 15 was their last year at the
Yeah,
Collie. Attack
Correct.
last year at the
yeah.
Collie. Yeah.
So,
Um,
this was the infamous "they shit on me too" draft, where Garth Snow had that hilarious quote on live TV.
Oh.
So that means that they had to have taken Josh Hosang, which they did. They took Josh Hosang at 28, and they
Mhm.
took Michael Dalcol at 5.
Oh,
Now, those two picks
yikes.
stunk. Okay, like we'll get into it, but
I liked
they,
Hosang better just because of how entertaining he
completely
yeah,
was.
because
agree.
I liked that they took a risk.
Hmm.
This was also the Ilya Sorokin draft.
Great
They
pick.
they took Ilya third round, 78 overall, and then they also took
Yeah.
Devon Taves in the fourth round,
Unbelievable.
Wow.
108th overall. Nobody else besides those guys made the NHL, but I think that was notable. It was the late round
Mhm.
magician Garth Snow back at it again.
Yeah, you give an F for those first two picks, and then what was it, third and fourth? Those
Third,
picks, you give an A plus all day.
100%.
The thing is, I actually feel this is the first time I'm going to take the a little bit of optimism out of it. I think the Sorokin pick is like almost fraudulent, and it's only because I give Lou Lamorello the credit of actually getting him here from Russia. That pick
True.
was so much riskier back then. Like, yes, he identified the talent. Props to you, but actually getting him over here didn't even happen close to his regime. Um,
Hmm.
and honestly, you can maybe even make a similar argument for Tays. By the time he came up, the coach was Barry Trotz. And I just don't know if he would have put him in a situation where he could actually succeed. I mean, like I'll give him credit for these picks because they are good picks, but like it pains me to give him credit when I know he's responsible for just getting them on the roster in any capacity. When it came to these players becoming successful, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I
You
mean,
gotta have,
Garth did draft him.
yeah,
He
you gotta
did.
find him. He did the first part. I guess you could say
Hmm.
Lou did the harder part, but you gotta
Yeah.
have him.
Luke can't do the harder part if you don't take him. So
Exactly.
I give it a B minus.
Well, before you give your grade, let me just tell you how the rest of the first round went, since that was the real disaster.
hmm.
Um, so we all know Michael Del Cole went five. No one, no one went. I fucked that up. All right, let me start this again. Michael Del Cole went five. We know that. Pick six and pick seven were irrelevant. Pick eight, Toronto took William Nylander. Pick nine, Nikolai Ehlers went to Winnipeg.
No,
Then,
you missed those.
but wait, there's more. Um, Kevin Fiala went to Nashville at 11. You had Dylan Larkin go to Detroit at 15. You had Alex Tuck go to Minnesota at 18. Your boy Tony D, Jack, went to
My guy.
Tampa at 19. You then had Robbie Fabry go at 21.
I'm gonna collapse, man.
And you
We're
had,
Yeah.
hang on,
Oh,
this is the worst one. You had David Pastrnak go at 25.
wow.
just a disaster.
I
Michael
mean,
Complete
Dal Cole.
disaster.
like any of those guys that I just named, if you took any of them instead of Michael Dal Cole, this draft instantly becomes an A.
I'm gonna be honest. The only thing I remember from Dal Cole was him just getting fucking leveled by Truba.
Yep. And then wait, wasn't that when Pajot fought Trouba right after
I
that?
think
Like in his
so,
first game?
bro.
Yeah.
He got just put to sleep.
I just remember watching
Sit
him
down.
being
So
we
bad.
were really good when Dal Cole came up. He was
Hmm.
just on a really good team, and you were just like, "Can you give us more?" Like this guy was
Hmm.
just. We had a bunch of Dal Coles that were better Dal Coles, you know.
The annoying
Yeah.
thing to me with him is every time I watch, even when I watched his highlights, like when he was in juniors, I still wasn't impressed. Like he was scoring, like there was just nothing. There was even in his highlight videos that made me like excited. And then he
Tell me
first,
if. Oh, sorry. Keep going, Vinny.
no, go. Because that was basically my point.
Yeah. What? I don't know if this is true or not. I feel like I remember hearing that the scouts wanted to go with Nylander, and Gar Snow said no and took Dal Cole
Dal
instead.
Cole. Yeah,
Is that true?
I believe it is. It was either Nylander or Ehlers.
Okay. I mean,
But
either man. You
I do
take every day.
I do remember that, and yeah, I think that was when Garth just he decided to do it himself, which actually makes sense, um, because his attitude in this draft was like fuck what everyone is saying. That's why when he took Josh Hosang and everyone killed him, he was like, well, they shit on me too, or whatever it is.
And when I said the that at least Hosang was entertaining, like I mean the off ice more than the on
Yeah,
ice, honestly.
I should also mention the pick
Yeah.
after Josh Hosang, directly after was Adrian Kempe to the Kings. Didn't include
Oh,
him.
Oh man,
Um, so
that's a
yeah,
terrible, terrible choice.
yeah, it
I mean,
really
like
is.
this first round, this is probably the worst first round that Garth had. I would argue,
Yeah,
with
by
the amount of
far.
talent that was there that he just missed out on. He made up a little bit for it with his late round picks, but man, this had the potential. Like, what would the team have been
This guy's annoying the hell out of me, to be honest, because I want to give him like a D already. But getting Sorokin in this draft is unbelievable.
And Taze.
After you he royally screws up, and then just somehow like gets these lucky Pellick, Pollock, Sorokin, Taze picks. It's so annoying.
I mean, I'm gonna give this draft a B minus. That should have been an A. It should have been an A if
Yeah.
he actually hit on a first round pick. What do you guys think?
I'm going C flat just because, like, bro, those first two picks just inexcusable. It's horrible.
Yeah, at least the team though. The team got better going into the next season. They
Wait, but
actually made the
what'd you give it?
playoffs.
What'd you give it, Jack?
Oh no,
I
I
missed
gave
it.
it a B minus. I'm sticking with
Okay.
B
that.
minus. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'll
mean,
stick with it.
in my opinion, the Del Cole is just so much worse than the Hosang. Like Hosang, he could have been. Like if he got his attitude right, I think he could have been a superstar in the NHL. He
I
just
agree.
could. The mental part of his game was just what held him back. Unfortunately,
I agree. There were just he had some talent that like you can't really
he
teach.
had insane talent. He was looked at as better than McDavid like a couple
That's
years
insane.
before the draft. So
Yeah.
We should sign him.
yeah,
I see he's doing hockey camps. I see on Instagram all the time. So
yeah. He won the what was the cup? He won ECHL Cup. I forgot what it's called.
all right.
With, the
Good for him.
Everblades.
At least he's still
Everblades
playing.
last year. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Well, I
he's-
don't know if he played this year, but he did 2 years ago.
I think he's trying to be a rapper also.
Yeah. Honestly, a decent album. I'm not gonna lie.
And
All right,
also,
wasn't bad.
we'll give him a shout out. Shout out to the veteran Ethan and the Obstructed Views podcast. I think he was one of like the only guests on that podcast.
Really, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So not that
That's
not that Ethan's gonna watch or listen to this right now, but I am giving him a compliment. Yeah.
What are
shout
the
out-
odds? The odds he listens to this.
Probably between 5 and 7%.
the same odds of us signing Josh Hosang this offseason.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much the same odds of him breaking 90 on a golf course. It's not happening. Anyway, Jack, you are going to take us into the next season.
I was, but I was just going to say it was a great season and things were on the come up for sure. And then this draft happens where we make a big splash. My memory is a little bit hazy in how we got here, so I need one of you to take it away.
All right. So we traded our first round pick. We did not have a first round pick because we moved it at the
Letty
deadline.
Boychuk?
Yes, it was for either Letty or Boychuk. I don't remember which one, but we did not have a first round pick. I will say this was the most stacked draft I can remember in my lifetime. This was the McDavid Eichel draft, and the names get crazy. But what Jack's alluding to, we traded back into the first round with good friend Peter Chiarelli, who was absolutely
Great friend.
fleeced. Yeah, love like
Best friend you could ask for.
I mean, his his name should be retired, even though he never played here
Should,
or
it
worked
really
here.
should.
Yeah, so Garth Snow fleeced Peter Chiarelli and got I should have pulled this up before. I'm going to look up the terms of this trade, so bear with me for 1 second.
And when did it happen? Did it happen at the draft? I don't remember.
It happened on the draft floor. I remember this, and it was stunning then. And I think it was more stunning because people thought the Islanders were getting ripped off for trading away a talent like Griffin Reinhart.
I don't remember that.
So this was at least on the old NBC draft coverage.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind. But here's the trade. So it was the 16th overall pick and the 33rd overall pick to the Islanders in exchange for Griffin Reinhart. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
So the Islanders then picked Matt Barzal at 16 after the Bruins passed on him 3 times in a row.
Yeah, such a flop. But before you go any further, the reason Barzal dropped a little bit was because of his injuries, right?
Yep, he broke his kneecap.
available.
He broke his kneecap.
Did that this year too. Unreal.
Yeah.
Was it the same kneecap this year?
Hope not.
That I don't know.
I hope not. Yeah.
Yeah, that I don't know. But he broke his kneecap, so he slipped. Or, well, no pun intended. He fell in the draft. And the Islanders took him at 16. And then what I was alluding to before, that other pick, 33, they ended up trading to get back into the first round to take Anthony Beauvillier at 28. So it was really
Decent.
that Griffin Reinhardt pick, and that got us two significant NHL players.
And Beauvillier was, he was a solid, turned into a middle six guy, but he was another player who could have been better. He could have been a top six guy with the talent he had. Just
So
for some reason, could never reach it.
they get Barzell, Beauvillier both in the first round, and then they have no NHLer except for Parker Wotherspoon, who's now on the Bruins and is a
Yep.
decent defensive defenseman. It's kind of funny that Parker's in this draft.
Yeah, and they took, so this is another classic Garth situation. So Ryan Pilon, I think that's how you say his name, who they took. Pilon, yeah, it could be.
Pilon.
So I think they drafted him, and then about like 6 months after they drafted him, he retired from hockey.
What happened?
So I believe, I don't want to
Looking
get
it
this wrong, but I think he had like there was like a mental illness or dealing with like anxiety or something, and just like walked away. I could be totally wrong there, but I do know that he walked away like
Yeah, I was gonna
immediately.
say, I hope it's nothing serious, but yeah, you just hate to see that when a young kid has like so much talent,
Yeah.
could make their life, and then they just don't. Like, it's sad to see that.
Well,
And-
he's doing well. He's got a degree in psychology now, I see. So
Hell yeah,
There you
good
go.
for him.
he said he was at total peace with his decision. So good for him.
Nice.
All right, yeah. So
Love
good
to
for
hear
him.
it. Nice. All right.
Yeah,
Well, that's
worked out
good.
on a personal level. And the one other funny note is, you remember their 6th-round pick, Andong Song? This was
I do not remember that at all.
so I mean, obviously he never played in the NHL.
Sixth
but
round, you said?
yeah, 172nd overall. He was from China, or originally from China.
Beijing.
That's
And
awesome. That's
He
fucking
was
awesome.
it was like the first like NHL player to be like picked from China, and this was still when Charles Wang
Oh,
was
I
around.
do remember that. I do remember that.
And he was like, or at least the Islanders' social media at the time was like really promoting it, because Charles Wang was, I don't know if he was from Chinese, but like,
I mean, that is cool. Has any player been drafted from China since?
let
I
me
mean,
check.
I don't know if you could find that easily, but
I think actually no.
the
According
only one?
to Hockey Reference, well, this would say any players that have played in the NHL, and there's nobody listed. So I don't know if anyone else has been drafted, but no one has played in the NHL from China.
No, that's cool. Did he come close or anything? Was he in the AHL? Nothing.
It says like on when he was listed, it said that he went to like a school in New Jersey, Lawrenceville High School in New Jersey, but he was originally
Okay. So he was from China and then came over here. Okay, that makes more sense now.
But
He was
yeah,
he was the second ever drafted from China. Oh no, this is a different guy. This is Kevin He when he was drafted by the Winnipeg Jets last year.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
2nd-round pick.
Yeah, it's cool here countries you really don't hear. Even though China is such a large population, just hockey's just not really a thing there.
yeah, it's foreign, but that was an interesting story. I actually was dumb enough to think that was going to work out for a second. But
6th-round pick, by the way. Had to correct
yeah,
that.
yeah, but obviously that didn't work out. Is there anyone else? I mean, I'll give you a name. Sebastian Aho, the Hurricane Sebastian Aho, was drafted 35th overall. Brandon Carlo was also
That's a good
picked at
hit.
37. Any of those guys, I guess we would have taken both of them over Anthony Beauvillier.
Yeah. I wouldn't take him over Barzy though. I mean, the Aho's debatable, but I still wouldn't personally.
I actually give this an A plus just because it would have been an A minus if we actually had those picks to begin the draft, but that trade to get the picks I think has to be factored in as a slam dunk. And like Beauvillier, I do look at that as a good draft pick.
Oh, 100%.
He's still a successful NHLer, and it's not the career I think we all pictured for him after, he was like one of our best players during some Eastern Conference Finals runs, but it's just Barzell's a star. Like this
even to this day, Beauvillier is still a playoff performer. He shows up. So, you need players like that. You get them not too expensive, and they show up in the playoffs. I personally would love to have him back. Yeah.
So would I.
I know you would agree.
As we know.
Yeah.
Discussion for another time.
Yeah, for
I'll
sure.
give this draft an A. I think
It was so stacked. This draft.
it was so like it was actually impossible basically for Garth to fuck this one up because you could have taken almost any player that was picked in the first round and they're a pretty good player. But
Hey, but unless you're the Bruins, I mean,
unless you're the Bruins, but
they
like
got DeBrusque, but even still, like you take Barzy every day over DeBrusque.
no, but you want to know the thing? So
Yeah.
like the three players the Bruins took, all of them, well, I guess I mean Saboro played 76 games. You have Jake DeBrusk who's legit, and then Zach Senshin only played 16 games. But like it's not like these guys never made the NHL. They
Yeah,
just
true.
I don't know. Obviously, Bruins fans
It's a
would want to have
botch, though.
Barzell. Oh, it's a huge botch.
I mean,
Yeah,
think
it's-
about it. They had 3 draft picks, first round draft picks, back to back to back, in the most stacked draft probably in NHL history, or at least up there, and they just fucking
the
blew
best
it.
player they come away with is Jake DeBrusk.
Yeah, who's a good player, but like, no, it's
Yeah,
not a good look.
I definitely
Only,
hear you.
Only laughing as I take a quick glance at the 2016 entry draft.
Yeah.
But did
Well,
you guys
now-
give your grades?
Yeah, I
Oh,
give
we
it an
did.
A.
I don't think I gave mine. I would say, yeah, I'd say an A.
We were all
And
really
not be
happy.
upset with it, especially because we didn't have that Barzy pick until draft night, so
Exactly.
made the best of it.
And like after all that, so we have a great draft. We have a great season, and the Islanders go into their new home in Brooklyn. And they win a playoff series for the first time in 23 years. The momentum is sky high, and then we get to the draft where, okay, we have no second or third round picks. We have 2 fourths, a sixth, 2 sevenths, and we did have our first round pick. We picked 19th. We picked Kiefer Bellows, who played 114 games in the NHL. He's still trying his best to make it. It was nice to see him appear for Nashville last year. We had 28 games played for Otto Koivula. I don't know about you guys, but it is too many games that we saw Otto Koivula in the NHL.
Yeah, way too many.
So okay, we finally have a draft where Garth didn't save himself and completely missed on his first round pick. However, this wasn't the type of season where you're thinking so much about we need to have a slam dunk in this draft. It's weird. He didn't do well. Greeny, I'm gonna need a rundown to see who we missed on.
Yeah,
really in the first, just the first round.
Yep.
I really care about. But
So I'll be nice to Garth because this draft was garbage. There was really nobody after that they missed. The 2 biggest ones, Tage Thompson, who went 26 to St. Louis. And then you got to go into the second round. Alex DeBrincat went 39 to Chicago.
Both solid
Really
players.
solid. I mean, the only other first round guys like Trent Frederick, not really impressed. Julian
Crazy.
Gauthier,
I mean,
Max Jones.
at the time, wasn't Bellows looked at as a steal?
Yep.
of course,
Because I think he had.
I remember thinking he was going to be really good.
So he was coming out of
too.
the development program, and I believe in that previous year's World Juniors, maybe it was the one after they took him, he had an unbelievable tournament. He scored a ton. Like he was a hot name at the time. So I thought it was going to be a steal. Obviously, that didn't turn out. And then their second round pick was another one of those Russian guys that we thought was going to be really good. It was actually third round pick, Anatoly Golishev. Fourth round pick, 95th overall, who scored 1 million goals in Russia, and everyone's like, oh, he's going to come over and he's going to be everything Kirill Kabanov wasn't and all that, and then he never plays a game and never comes over. Yeah, this draft was a mess.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I don't understand Kiefer Bellows. I feel like Kiefer Bellows hasn't gotten the most fair shake in the NHL. Like, I don't think he's anything special, but I don't know. Like, he wasn't that bad. Like, he could.
He was bad. He was bad, Jack. He was.
Was
bad.
he really that bad?
What I remember when he first came up with Wallstrom, if you remember in like 2020, maybe it was 2021.
2020.
I'm pretty sure they played on the same line. And they were buzzing for a little bit. I remember
God.
thinking like, wow, these kids might develop.
Yeah, us idiots, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, he had a similar profile in my eyes to Michael Del Cole, where like he had a good shot, but couldn't really skate. Had
He
no
was
idea,
better at
what he.
skating than Del Cole,
He
though.
was so much better to watch too.
Yeah,
No, he was better to
100%.
watch, but like both of them had no idea what to do in the defensive zone, which was I think why like Barry Trotz at
Yeah.
the time never played them because he just
Yeah.
had no
I
faith.
think for me, when I was watching Del Cole, maybe it's just because of that Truba hit, but I feel like I always remember that it seemed like he was always just scared to get hit.
Yeah, he was a little and for a bigger guy, for a big
Yeah,
guy, he
that
was
too.
definitely fragile.
Like he was slow, but yeah, I mean, we're going back, but that's just what I remember.
It does say something that he was able to even appear in the NHL again this year. Like he didn't play from
Mhm.
2022 until 2025. Like that's crazy that he even got another chance.
Wait,
I
who?
hope Kiefer. He
Bellow,
played.
yeah,
He
Yeah,
played.
Bellows.
okay. Who did
He
he play
played
for this
this
year?
the Predators, which is really funny because I thought Trotz hated
Very,
him,
yeah.
and Trotz the one that brought him
Mhm.
there. Maybe he felt bad. I don't
How did
know.
he do? Do you have his stats or
Four
anything?
4 points in 19 games. He
Really
has
not that bad. I mean, it's not
he's
good,
30
but
On that team.
yeah.
32 points in 114 career games. Like, I don't know. I feel like he never really got a full on chance. The most games he's ever played is 45. He had 19 points. Is that really that? That's not that bad.
But he never produced in the AHL.
And you
Mm,
know what, too? The issue with Kiefer, as you guys labeled, was you're saying that he was piss poor defensively. Like he was
yeah,
more supposed to be a top six guy. And when you're not fitting in the top six and you're a complete defensive liability, you'll find yourself out of the league. So it makes sense.
exactly. I feel like there's so many players who were expected to be top six and then couldn't, so they worked on the defensive side of the game and found a role in the league. So
Something
Exactly.
that's really
Wallstrom
what
never
has to
did.
happen. Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
we'll get to that, but there's not really that much to cover here. It was such a terrible draft. I don't what grades are you guys gonna give? I'm a little bit I don't know, kind of stuck
I'm
on
gonna
this one.
F.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it an F because there.
I
There's
can't
no
give it
one.
an F.
There's no one.
No, but Jack, there was nobody out of this draft became a serviceable NHL player. Yes, it wasn't a great draft, but there were some names that were right there for them.
Yeah,
And I
it's an
mean,
F.
you go 0-4-6. And it's pretty bad. Like what'd you say before? A good draft is if you hit on one.
One,
Then
just
what's a draft where you hit on none?
Well, if you hit on one, he has to be like a
no, yeah,
star.
Yeah,
I didn't mean like successful, great. Like it's okay. Like if you're there,
yeah.
you at least are in a decent range for this one. It's just so hard because there was nobody good. Like it's hard to blame the guy. So I'm just gonna give it a D.
Well, DeBrinket's good. Who else did you say, Greeny?
Yeah,
So
but
we
so
had
many teams passed on him. You
You
know, it's
said
no,
just
but
hard.
DeBrinket and
DeBrinket was
someone
right
else. I
there.
forgot.
DeBrinket and
Oh,
I'll
here's
pull it
why.
back
Because we
up.
didn't have a second or third round pick either. So it's like he didn't have
Yeah, it's
much to
true.
work with, right?
That's
Like
actually true.
Tage
But
Thompson
still,
was the other one, by the way.
yeah, I think maybe a D minus. Honestly.
the team was really
Okay.
good also. So I can't get on him too much for this with all the context. I'm just gonna give him a D.
And
Yeah, I
so
see what you're saying.
and it is important content. It's a good point, Jack. We're getting to the time in the Islander timeline where we're trading away draft picks now.
Hmm.
So that needs to be factored in too. I don't think it's fair to grade a draft where we only have a couple draft picks. So Lou will
Agreed.
thank me.
Hmm.
But anyway, so I think we won't grade like the last couple of drafts because it's still way too early. But we're on to 2017, which is the first of these drafts where we didn't have a first round pick. And this is coming off a season where, again, we had those high expectations after we won the playoff series the year before, and the team was awful. They fired Jack Capuano. They gave up a million goals, and they had no first round pick. Their first pick was 46th overall. They took Robin Salo in the second round, who has only played 32 games in the NHL and I believe is playing in Sweden now. They did take Sebastian Aho in this draft in the fifth round, who played 190 games and I think is still hanging around in the league somewhere.
He's in Wilkes-Barre, the Penguins minor league
Okay.
system.
But I think he did play
Okay.
for Pittsburgh a little bit this year.
He did a tiny bit that I think Sullivan hated him though.
Yeah, not surprising.
Wait, who? Sorry, I completely forgot. Who did they? Why didn't we have a first round pick this year?
So
Good
20
question. Did we
standby.
did we
Because there
maybe
was
trade it with Strom for Eberle?
I don't. I think Strome
that.
for Eberle is 1-for-1,
Great trade
which
by
was another
Garth.
fleece by Garth and Sorelli.
Um,
Ugh.
okay, so I'm just finding this now.
Garth owes
Is it?
him beers and a lot. I meant
Yeah.
Shirelli owes Garth a
Oh,
lot of
this was
beers.
the expansion draft. We gave up the first round pick to Vegas so that
Mhm.
they took JF Berube in the expansion draft. Um, we also got rid of Mikhail Grabowski, Jake Bischoff, and a second round pick in 2019, along with this draft pick.
I
So
feel
that's
like that's
why.
not. The Islanders finished fifth to last in the league that year, right?
Yeah. And they protected like the
And who did
likes of
it?
Matt Martin and Josh Bailey and Cal Clutterbuck,
Hmm. Who did
Pellick and
Vegas?
Gahan.
Do you know who Vegas took with that pick? Was that when they picked Suzuki?
Vegas
Oh
took.
man, that's bad.
Oh, yes,
Or
that is
was
Nick
it Suzuki?
Suzuki, 13th
Yeah.
overall.
Oof, that's bad.
Actually, no, no. Sorry, I'm wrong. Because there was another pick. They took Eric Brandstrom at 15, not 13.
Okay.
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 So just looking at this draft. So if the Islanders were at 15, some players that would have been there included Robert Thomas, Jake Ottinger,
Damn it.
and
Wait, I'm so confused. If they finished first, I mean, fifth to last in the league that year, how did they only get the 15th overall pick?
no, 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 no. They didn't finish fifth to last.
In 2017?
2017, they like just barely missed the playoffs.
By a point.
Really?
Yeah,
By a point.
because
They had
if
the
you
worst defense of the league that
worst
year, though,
defense,
right?
but if you
Okay, so
remember,
that's what I'm getting mixed up with.
so they
Okay.
they fired Jack Capuano, Doug Waite comes in, they go on a
Yep.
heater to get back into it. That's why they made Doug Waite the full-time head coach for the next year, because they had
Okay.
such a great run. Just came up short, picked 15th, which went to Vegas.
Okay, yeah. I guess I completely forgot
I
about that.
hate
Okay.
there's nothing more
Oh,
about this team than I hate this era of Islanders hockey.
Yeah,
Like
it
yeah, it
was
was so
awful.
bad. No, I
2017 to 2018, like just being in
that's
Brooklyn, it was dark
that's what
times.
I got confused with because we were the fifth to last team in the league that year, right? In
Correct.
17 to 18, yeah. Okay.
Yep. Um,
Yeah, pretty much similar years, just horrible to watch.
exactly. Just the black hole of Islander hockey. Um,
No defense.
but this also wasn't really a great draft. I mean, if they were at 15, Josh Norris, Robert Thomas, Jake Ottinger are the guys that you would want.
Ottinger would be good, but
All studs.
Yeah, they're all good. Jason
mhm,
Robertson went in the second round, but he
that's a
went
steal.
but
Star
he
steal.
but he went before. So he went 39. The Islanders pick Robin Salo at 46. And I mean, I guess other than Robin Salo, other guys that were available, not many. Ukko Pekka Luukkonen, Fabian Zetterlund, Morgan Geekie. Again, these are NHL guys, but not anything significant. And I would say overall, like the biggest miss across the board in this draft was maybe like Drake Batherson, who went where is he? He went 121st in the fourth round.
So not good. Not
But
nothing. Not a,
this was not a great draft.
yeah. I mean,
Seems to
some
me Garth got a little
Robinson
bit.
was a late round
Yeah,
steal.
Robertson was, if the Islanders were picking like before pick 39 in the second
Hmm.
round, then that's a huge miss, but he was already
Yeah,
gone.
and with hindsight, first
I
round.
think fatigue set in on Snow a little bit. He used to be good at finding these guys in the later rounds and
Yeah.
probably just was he started to rely on that a little bit. And after what, 8 years, almost no, this is like his 10th year on the job. Like I think he just lost it a little bit. But
Yeah.
I really like Sebastian Aho. I think he's a
So
good
did I.
story. How he was just in
Hmm.
the minors his whole career, came up and like was really serviceable for us for 1 or 2 years. That
He
playoff
was.
season, um, that he Garth Snow can thank Sebastian Aho because just because of him, I'm going to give him a D. D. Leave it a D.
Okay. I'd actually go higher than you on this. I'll go D plus.
I'm just gonna go D. Can't give it an F. I gave the last one an F.
Yeah,
But
because we didn't really have anything high,
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, oh, real quick, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, some about that name. Whenever we're playing against him, the broadcasters just have to say his full name every time. And it
yeah.
just it pisses me
Just say
off. I don't know
UPL.
why. Yeah, some like
You know what?
But
I gotta change that
Butch
last
says
grade.
UPL because he can't say the
Yeah.
name.
I'm changing that last grade to an F.
Really?
Okay.
It's just a complete failure. You don't have a
I mean, it's
first round
fair.
pick. We missed the playoffs. It's just a disaster. You picked
That is
Robin
true.
Salo, like these guys, like you pick like Sebastian Aho becoming an NHLer, like was so against the odds given his size and his like defensive liabilities. Like I don't know. That draft, there's no NHLer. There's no first round pick for a team that missed the playoffs. Like it's just a fail.
Yeah,
That's fair.
definitely fair.
All right. So the last couple of drafts here, we'll get into. Now we're into the Lou era, which is important because we didn't have many first round picks. But this first draft we did, and this draft was kind of handled by a lot of Garth's guys because Lou got hired late, so he held on to a lot of the scouts and front office people. And the Islanders had two picks in the top 15. They actually had back-to-back picks. They picked 11 and 12, and they took Oliver Wahlstrom with pick 11, and they took Noah Dobson at pick 12. And then other notable picks, Bodie Wild was a defenseman that they took in the second round at pick 41. And then they had pick 43, and they took Ruslan Isakov. Besides that, Jakub Škarik, who has played 2 games in the NHL, and then nobody else.
Wild pick is just it's just hilarious. Like what happened with that guy again?
He didn't take the vaccine, right? And then
Correct. And
Lou
Lou
shipped
sent
him.
him to Antarctica. Yeah, basically.
My God. Um, yeah, this draft's interesting. I love how Jacob Skarik's in this one, how he got to play one or two games this season. It was a little bit scary when he was out there, but he yeah, he didn't even hold his own, so I don't know what I'm saying. But yeah, Dobson, Wallstrom. I mean, complete opposites in terms of how they turned out.
Yeah.
Wallstrom's a really frustrating one for me because I really think that injury to his ACL completely screwed up his career. And
Yeah.
Islander fans love to say, like, oh, I saw it coming with Wallstrom. He never had anything. Well, when he was on the ice for the entire first round against the Penguins, he was a complete net positive in the playoffs in 2021. Like he was a good player before that injury. Was he ever going to be a first line forward sniping 40 goals a season? I don't know, but he was definitely an NHLer. So it sucks what happened to him.
He started to get more physical that year too, still laying big hits.
Yeah, he was a fun player to watch when he was
Mhm.
at his peak, but Dobson definitely a great draft pick there.
It's a hit. No
Yeah,
matter what
Dobson-
you think on Dobson, that's a hit.
Yeah.
Definitely hit.
Even if they move him in the coming days or they don't give him a huge extension, that's absolutely a hit. The
Mhm.
guy that was taken at pick 14 was Joel Farabee. I mean, would you take Joel Farabee over Noah Dobson? I would take him
No,
over Wallstrom,
no.
but not Dobson.
Yeah, I'm not taking him over Dobson.
Yeah, but
That's not-
it's really nitpicking to
Of
say
course.
that, you know.
And then the only other notable player I see in the first round is Keandre Miller went to the Rangers at 22, but
Great
he's in
pick.
flux. He's in flux, and the Rangers might move
Yeah.
him. So
Mhm.
you
Like,
don't
he's
really
like-
know.
Miller's like a light version or like the Timu version of Dobson.
Yeah.
Honestly, will suck at defense,
and-
but he has nothing on the offensive side.
And he's a lefty, but
At
he's
least not close to Dobson.
no, but like that's actually a really good comparison. He's like a bigger guy, but he could be accused of being a little soft.
Yeah.
Has not really popped the way they thought he would at this point.
Mhm.
That's a really good comparison. I mean, and then like besides that, this was another bad draft. If you wanted the pick after they took Bodie Wild, you could have had Jack Drury, who went to Carolina.
Decent.
That would have
And
been
then
better.
Instead of
Definitely, but
instead of
hindsight.
Isakov, we could have taken Scott Perunovich, your guy.
Hey, we got him anyway.
we
We
got
got
him
him for
anyway.
Yeah, we
free.
got him anyway.
And then Martin Ferravari went to Washington, pick 46.
Good
But like
pick.
that's like he's a nice player, but it's nothing earth shattering. And the rest of the
a
draft
good pick, though.
was kind of
Nothing.
Sean Dursey is like the standout. like Jake McBain, it's nobody. So
Yeah,
this was a first round heavy draft, and I think the Islanders went 1 out of 2 on the first round pick.
for
So
sure.
I will give this draft a B because I think it could have been way worse.
Could have been
Um,
better too, even if Wallstrom never got injured. So
Yeah,
absolutely.
I agree with you. I'm actually going to give the same exact grade. I'm going to give it a B. It would be higher if it'd be higher if like I don't like the vision of the Wallstrom pick actually because you have Barry Trotz that you just hired as your head coach during this time, and you're getting a forward who does not play a lick of defense and is not interested in even learning that part of the game under this new head coach. I just don't think it was a great vision for him. And it's not like he was super talented to the point where he was a lock to be a top 6 forward. So I thought it was very risky for an 11th overall pick. So I'll give it a B because Dobson carries this
was
draft class.
was Lou made the pick, right?
Yep.
Or
Yeah, we
okay.
we like don't really know. I think it was Garth Scout still.
I
Lou
mean,
made the pick.
didn't Lou have Garth Scouts the whole time though?
Yeah, Garth wasn't fired yet. Garth was on the stage. If you look at the draft pictures
Wow.
of Dobson and Wallstrom, Garth was
Mm,
up there. He was all the way at the end, not doing anything, but he was up there with him. And then he got
okay.
fired like a week later.
Okay. But yeah, I didn't give my grade. I would probably say B as well. I think it's
Yeah,
fair.
B's across the
And
board, I
even
think is good.
even if, Dobson isn't an Islander for much longer, his value, I think we're gonna get if he is traded, I think we're gonna get some good future um how do you say, like a good return for him.
Yeah,
So had
we'll
some
be
good
we'll be set up.
seasons and yeah, we'll get set from it. So
Oh boy.
definitely at least a B. Yeah.
Well, after the 2018 draft, we had a remarkable season here. The 2018-19 season ends. We're picking in the first round at 23rd overall. Keeping that draft pick is pretty surprising when you look back at how good the team was. Um, they had a first, second, fifth, sixth, and seventh. With the first round pick, they took Simon Holmstrom, who is a restricted free agent right now. He'll probably resign with the team,
Mm-hmm.
79 points in 200 games played. Second round pick was Samuel Bolduc, who got roasted by the head coach in a game against the Rangers this season. I don't think we'll ever see him play for the Islanders again. And then we have 3 guys who haven't ever dressed in an NHL game. Um, I do like that after we made the playoffs and we had a late first round pick, the fact that that turned into Simon Holmstrom, that's pretty good work given the context of the team.
Well, let me give you guys 2 names. I think Simon Holmstrom was the best player taken at this pick, but I'll give you guys 2 names. Curious what you think. The first one is Long Island native Shane Pinto, who went
Mm-hmm.
32 to Ottawa. And then the following pick, 33, was Arthur Kaliev, who went to the Kings.
Who is that guy on the Capitals that kind of popped off this year that went after him?
Connor McMichael.
Yeah.
Connor McMichael went 25.
I'm sorry, but I'm taking all three of those guys over Holmstrom
Interesting.
personally.
I didn't realize
Maybe not
McMichael.
Pinto, but
I actually
I
didn't
get
realize
it.
McMichael was
I'm
that good.
taking and I kind of was shitting on Holmstrom the past 2 years, not gonna lie, but I'm not super down on him. Like I think he had a decent year this year and he could actually turn into a pretty damn good player. But
I don't
still,
know what
right
it is.
now, I would take McMichael over him for sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would or wouldn't. The thing is with Holmstrom is sometimes his production to me feels extremely fluky and it comes in
Mm-hmm.
bunches. Like he will
Exactly.
go pointless for 10 games and then he'll have like
And
a
look
6 game.
horrible too. Like when he's
Ethan's
Yeah.
gonna
pointless, he looks horrible.
Ethan's gonna be mad at you.
But then he'll
And then
pop off. It's
Ethan's
like,
not watching this, man.
yeah, it's don't have
Yeah,
to
but
worry
then
about it.
but like he'll pop off and he'll go on like a 7 game point streak, and that streak will be alive on like an assist on an empty netter or like a game we're blowing out the opponent. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care what anyone tries to tell me about his stats against good teams and bad. Like I watch. I know that he's really up and down, and there's
Mm-hmm.
something instinctively on the offensive side where I just don't know. I don't trust him. I don't pencil him in for 25, 30 goals. Like I'm not there yet with him.
Me
But he's
neither.
really, really defensively
It's
sound.
possible.
definitely a third liner. So I do think that that's very successful for that
Mhm.
first round, but there's not much else to really report here, right?
And if he is, let's say he does turn into a career third liner, he would probably be a solid third liner. Like
Definitely.
Oh, 100%.
he could be a consistent top six guy probably in his ceiling, but even if he is just a third liner for the rest of his career, decent, like a really good third liner. So,
And
Agreed.
the context matters too. Wasn't that good of a draft? They had
hmm
a late pick, and you're getting a
yep,
guy that's already played 200 games and has the potential to be like a mid-20s goal scorer.
yeah.
So,
And you need those guys on your team. You
a
need guys like that. So,
100%, a
Yeah.
100%. So I will give this one a C plus. I wanted to see more with the other picks, but getting like nailing the first pick, which was a late first round pick, I think is a win. And a guy that's still contributing 6 years later, I think is good. Um, yeah, could have been better, but not a fail. So I will give it a C plus.
I'm sorry. So it's just Holmstrom that's turned into an
But
Just
there's only 5 draft
they
picks.
only had 5 draft picks,
uh-huh.
and their top okay, so like their top 2 picks in the first and second round have played a bunch of games in the NHL.
Who is the second
That
besides
was
Holmstrom?
Sam Bolduc,
Okay.
who's played
Okay.
52 games. Now he might not turn
Okay.
into anything, but like the other guys that we're saying are nobodies, it was their fifth, sixth, and seventh round picks.
And Bolduc's another one, at least for me, that's a little annoying because when he was up those 2 years, I forgot, he looked like he could have been like turned into something, at least like a maybe middle pairing, bottom pairing defenseman with
Hmm.
offensive upside. But it seemed like he just hit a wall in his development and just kind of disappointing. But yeah, I think your grade's fair. I'd probably go C minus maybe.
Jack.
I'll give it a B minus because we had 5 picks and we got a solid NHL player out of it.
Yeah.
So I think a B minus is okay, given the team was really good. That's all I got for that one.
Okay.
All
That's
right.
fair.
And I think we should just do the last two here. I think 21 is a good year to end at. Um,
Agreed.
Mhm.
so we're at 2020 right now, which was after the bubble. This was like not having a first round pick from the Pajot trade. Um, they didn't pick until the 90th overall selection here in the third round. I mean, they had 5 total picks. The only guy that's played an NHL game has been William Dufour, and he only
Oh
played
boy.
one game.
Mhm.
He was taken in the fifth round, played once, was a -2. Barry benched him after the first period, and we've never seen him
Yeah.
again.
That was in Boston, right?
I think it was at the Coliseum against Boston,
Okay.
but yeah, it was literally he played one period in the NHL. Um, I don't really know how to grade this. I mean, what if I just take a look at the 2020 draft? This was the Alexis Lafreniere pick for the Rangers
Bust
at
Renair
one.
draft.
Yep. And there's nobody that they could have taken that is really has either played or is anything significant. Like I don't even recognize any of these guys' names.
Do
And it
you
might,
do you mind do you mind if I take it back for a second?
yeah, yeah,
I just have a question.
yeah.
Would you take Holmstrom over Kako?
Would I take Holmstrom over
Yes.
Kako? Probably. Yeah,
But
I
it's
would
but it's
I
not
think I would.
the gap isn't that big.
No. And Kako, completely off subject, but when he got traded, he did look better. He looked better for sure.
yeah.
So,
I mean, players get away from the Rangers and they start playing well. So
yeah.
I don't think that's a total coincidence.
hmm
But
Back
yeah,
to it, sorry.
no, that was totally okay. I mean, this draft, there was really nothing to report in this draft. If you didn't have a first round pick, you weren't really getting a solid player,
Or a second.
or at least it's just like too early to tell. I mean, JJ
hmm
Paterka, who is now on the I guess chopping block for Buffalo, like he went in the second round, and you have guys like Luke Evangelista on Nashville, who's a nice player, but nothing really significant. Although the Islanders didn't have any, like literally anyone here that's an impact, I'll give it a D just because of the circumstance. They traded their
Yeah.
first and second round picks to try and win at the time.
hmm
So
Which is reasonable for sure.
it's definitely reasonable, and I think that context matters. I don't
Yeah,
want to kill
because
it as much.
me and you, Greeny, we definitely gave Lou a little bit of shit for trading
Hmm.
so many first round picks. But these were like the 2 years where it was,
It was
you
okay.
trade those
Yeah.
first round picks.
100%.
Yeah.
So
These two drafts, like I just look at them the same, like we were such a good team. It would have so should we grade them together?
20 and 21, we could do that if you want.
Yeah, because it's so similar.
And like I'm assuming we all feel the same way. We did not care about these two drafts. It was like the
No,
first time in our lives that we didn't really care because the
I didn't
team
give
was
a
good.
shit. No.
Yeah. So then if we're gonna loop it in together in 2021, again, didn't have a first round pick. I believe that was from the Kyle Palmieri trade, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
So
2020 was Pajot, 21
one was
was Palmieri and
Palmieri.
Zajac. Yeah.
Yep. Good call. Good call.
Yeah,
So, oh,
man.
Great trade.
It's just so hard to grade this stuff because like those were really good trades, right?
but if we can take this down like the Griffin Reinhardt path, their first pick in this draft was Atu Ratu at pick 52 in the second round, who they turned into Bo Horvat,
Which is fantastic.
which
Yeah.
is unbelievable.
But there was a first round draft pick added on top of that too.
Sure,
So.
sure, but like I think the Canucks really did want Ratu. Like that was probably the centerpiece. Bo was kind of the throw in along with the first. It was like, oh, we're getting this really hyped prospect and a first round pick.
I mean, Ratu played a lot this year, right? I'm pretty sure he had a decent season. Let
He
me look
did.
it
He
up.
He's
scored
only at
against us in a big game.
he's only
Yeah,
played
yeah, he
40
did.
he's only played 48 games in his career. He has 9 goals and 5 assists. If we just look at what he did this year,
Yeah, just look at this year.
33 games, 7 goals, 4 assists, 11 points.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
On
He's young.
on a team in Vancouver that was kind of a mess.
Yeah.
He did have a really good year. I just looked. His AHL stats this year were excellent. 43 games for Abbotsford, scored 17 goals, had 23 assists. So 40 points in 43 games.
Yeah, that's good. Not bad at all.
So he could still actually turn into something.
And I remember when he first got called up, I was like, this kid looks like he has talent.
I
Like
think
he's
he
young, making mistakes, but still he had that talent.
And I think he might have scored in his first game.
I think he did. I think you're right.
Yeah.
But
Pretty
anyway,
sure he went bar down, I think.
I believe I was at that game, and they were wearing the fisherman jerseys. It was like a crazy time. The only other player that played in the NHL in this draft was their goaltender Tristan Lennox, who's played 1 game. His save percentage is
Wait a minute.
5.
Lennox is the one that came in for 5 minutes. Is that his one game
I believe so.
that Patrick
Wait,
Roy
wait.
yanked?
You
Oh
said his
my
save
God.
percentage is 5?
Or 0.5.
Because he came into that Rangers game this season when we were down 7-0.
There you go. He's played 4 minutes and 43
That's
seconds.
what it is. Yep.
Unbelievable.
And he
Patrick
let in.
Roy. Come on,
What
man.
did he let in?
Too many. He let in
1 goal on like 2 shots.
2
3
shots. 2 shots,
goal, that's
one
why.
goal against.
That's a bad move by Waugh there.
I felt so
Yikes.
bad for the kid.
That's
Oh my.
horrible.
Yeah,
I
that
forgot
was
about
not-
that. Yeah. Yeah.
That was
that's
not
bad.
good. But anyway, that draft as a whole, if we're looking around where the Islanders picked in the second round, they picked 52. Matthew Nyes went 57.
That's a great pick.
That's a really
That's
good
a great
pick by
pick.
Toronto.
Mhm.
This guy Giannis Moser, who has played 259 games for the Coyotes, now Utah Mammoth. I've never heard of him, but he's played a lot of games. Besides that, not really anybody.
We
Yeah.
got to be honest here, guys. So we got 1 second-round pick.
Who was a good pick? I mean, we turned him into Horvat.
Yeah,
Two
It seems like he's
thirds.
going to be good. So
2/3, 2/4, 2/5, 2/6, 2/7. That's a lot of dart throws, and you got a trade piece in there. Just because we got Horvat, it's a D minus.
yeah, but still, who even care? Like the fact,
Yeah, we don't care.
Like, who cares? If they could have had 0 picks those 2 years,
Yeah.
and I would have been like, okay, who cares?
like I
So-
got to give it a D or a D minus just because they didn't turn into anything. But at the same
Mhm.
time, these were the acceptable drafts to have a D minus.
I think
Agreed.
I'm gonna go just because of the circumstances. I'm gonna go C minus.
Yeah,
I think
no,
even getting a
that's fine.
Ratu in the second round is pretty good. So
That's fair. That's fair. And like I remember when Ratu first came up here, we thought that was going to be a massive steal.
yeah,
So, and he still might
it,
turn into a
it
good
seems
NHL
like
player.
yeah, I think he definitely can. I think he could at least turn into a middle six guy. He has the
So I
talent.
guess, and like after this draft, I mean, we're not going to recap the rest of them just because it's too early. Like we don't know
Exactly.
if
Yeah.
Isaiah George is some like great steal.
Cole
We
Iserman though, I think
Yeah,
that
I think
Cole
way
Iserman,
too early still, but it seems like he's going to be
and
really good.
I've
And then
also
him and
this year,
Danny
seen
Nelson I like.
a week
yeah
from now, boys.
the
So so let's just do that quickly before we end. The draft is in 5 days. We have the
I
first
can't wait.
pick. Who are we taking?
Matthew Schaefer, welcome to Long Island. Get
Matthew
ready to learn
Schaefer.
the schools.
I think we're all in agreement. I
Matthew
hope
And
he's ready
then
to learn the schools.
Matthew Schaefer, and I think James Higgins will be an Islander too.
Me too.
I'm
I
leaning
might
that
be
way as
too
well.
delusional with that. Might be too delusionally, but I'm gonna hot take right now. We will have Matthew Schaefer and James Higgins in five
I feel
days.
like it's going to happen as well.
Well, it's not a hot take if you listen to the insiders in the insider channel on our Discord.
Yeah, shout
That's
out.
correct.
So yeah, so if you want to hear all the buzz leading up to the draft, sign up to the Patreon. We'll tweet that out.
Hmm.
It's been unbelievable.
I mean, that's
I
not
think we
giving
all
out
can
too
agree.
much,
No, I don't
right?
think so. I
Because
don't
I
think
feel
so.
like so many people have reported that
So many people
it's a
reported it,
possibility. I might be too hopeful on it, but that's
but the
just
buzz is there.
yeah, the
The
buzz
buzz
is
is
there.
certainly
It's
there.
all over
Yeah.
the island as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so we'll see what happens. But I mean, guys, we just dove deep into every single draft since 2009.
This one could be the best
This-
one that we've had in a very long time, or who knows? It would be a shame if it didn't. But
It would.
I have high hopes for this draft for sure.
This was a lot of
100%.
fun.
No, this was
Mhm.
great. I'm sure we're gonna have more draft content coming out this week. We're gonna be doing some recaps after the draft ends.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you all for listening, for watching, subscribing. Again, sign up for the Patreon. We'll tweet that out.
It's
Follow
not
all
even
of
the
us.
insider on the Patreon, like the Discord access. We have a good time there. So if you
Yeah.
guys are watching this content, you have the money, join. If not, keep watching these videos. Throw us a like, subscribe, give us
Leave
a
your
review
grades
wherever you're
too for these
listening.
drafts. We'd love to hear them.
Yep.
Yeah,
Go through
leave
it.
your
Go
grades.
through it. If you disagree with us, we want to hear it. Leave comments, tweet at us. Love to hear everyone's thoughts. But
Mhm.
I mean, boys, I got nothing else. I don't know if you guys want to touch on anything else, but I think we're good to go.
No,
Yeah.
we're ready to.
Thanks
we're
for
ready to
watching,
go.
guys.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll talk to you later this week.
Take it easy.